पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्ष्यमामृतात् ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय हरि ओम तत्सत् ॐ पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णम् उदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवापूर्णाम् अवशिष्यते ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सर्वेषां स्वास्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ Yeah, tonight I thought I will talk a little bit on some really simple but quite a beautiful practices that can help us or give us some very basic tools and ideas on, how do we deal ourselves with in different situations, and then some of the key yoga sutras or the practices from yoga sutras as Patanjali takes us through his spiritual counseling or guidance. And some of these tools, I do find them very, very helpful in day-to-day life, especially when we are going through a little bit of heavy or the darker time in our life. So really, to begin with, to me, I always begin whenever I want to talk a little bit on the life tools from the Yoga Sutras, from the first sutra itself. And what I really love about the first sutra itself from Yoga Sutra, as the Patanjali begins, Atha Yoga Anusasanam. Now you see, compared to like most modern people do, or the way we do these days things, we always begin with, this is me, oh, here I am Nyandev and I'm going to talk this, or here I am Nyandev, I'm going to talk you through this. So we all, whenever we do things, even though we are teaching, we're doing ourselves, we tend to always begin with saying our own name. Well, like Patanjali, he must be so beyond the ego and all this modern dilemma of proving something or doing something to show people how much we know or they know. He does not really go into introducing himself or anything. He goes straight into the subject, to the point. And he said, here we are. For people who are looking or seeking for that inner happiness, that true joyfulness, or that inner bliss, that inner light. He said, if you are in that moment, then you need to begin your journey from here and now. So begin your journey. And the word he uses, Atha Yoga Anusasanam. So here we are learning, practicing, or following the path of discipline. And through that discipline, he said, what we want to do, we want to clear up all the chitvartis, all these whirlpools, all this clutter of our mind, so we can become more deeply, or at deepest of the profound inner quietness or the inner peace. You know, as we all know, we all want to become true, we want to be aware, or we want to know truly who we are. So if you want to know your true potential, then you got to have space to listen your own thoughts, or listen your own ideas. Go inward and connect with yourself, because otherwise, you know, we all are conditioned with this concept of duality, or our mind, our manas, and then our senses, or the jnanendriyas and karmendriyas. So our sense organs of cognition, and then the sense organs of our action, the locomotive organs. We are conditioned with all these sense organs, all this mind and ego, to constantly be outward, be extroverted, go out and do things. There is something to prove, something to think. So really, if you think, you know, most of our thought, even though I know we all like to think that we are so great in thinking, or we are so great in how much we know, how much knowledge, or how much intelligence we have. But in a true sense, when you look from inward, actually we know nothing. You know, when we come to Atmanyan, when we come to knowing about the Atma, knowing about the life, knowing about the consciousness, or knowing about even the whole universe, the way it functions. You know, if you go out and you know, just watch a flower blossoming, watch a plant growing, or see a bird flying, or see a tree blossoming into the flowers, or growing into fruits, and then the fruits ripening. All that is so effortless. You know why the human life is not like everything else out there? Because everything else is so deeply connected with their inner, or the true, or the potential self. They don't have this distracted ego, mind, and asmita. So really, so that's what Patanjali says, to become free from the chitvartis. To become free from chitvartis, we have to let go all that sensory input. Now the sensory input, as you know, Patanjali talks about chitvartis. So he classifies them into 5 different sources, or the 5 different types, or the categories. Now the first one, he begins with the pramana. So the pramana is the thoughts that are arising, the whirlpools that are arising because of our direct cognition. Now the direct cognition can be situation, the life we're going through. It can be reading books, or it can be listening from other people. But there is a physical source to that thought, or that the process we're going through. The second source of thought he uses is the vipriya. It's the misconceived, or the wrong knowledge, or the wrong experience. It's seeing something that is not real. So in Indian typical example, they always use is, there is a little bit of dark, and you see there is a rope on the floor, and you stepped on it, and you jump off thinking there was a snake. Now more typical sort of examples in a spiritual traditions, they use that there is a jewelry in your hand, maybe around your neck, as your necklace, or your ring on your finger, and it says that seeing that jewelry is unreal. It's the misconceived knowledge, because the real reality behind or into that jewelry really is either it's a gold, or a metal, or a silver, whatever it's made of. And then from that, if you break that further down, then the reality can be, it just comes from the prana, or the quanto, the energy, and it's all evolving through the universal transformation. So in that sense, you know, what we see, what we experience is through that either the direct cognition, or the misconceived, or the wrong knowledge, the wrong experience of what we're going through. Then we have the vikalpa. It's completely imagining things. So in a vipriya, wrong knowledge, or the wrong conception, at least there is a base, there is something behind it. But in imagination, it's just a hypothesis, it's just something we imagining, something we thinking that this can be real, or maybe it can be something. Namaste. Yes, so in that way we have all this imagining that if this happens, that will happen. If I do this, that will happen. Or if I would not have done this, this could have happened. It's, so many of us actually go through what we call the guilt game. Half of that guilt game we play on ourselves is just purely imagining things. Imagining that, oh, if I would have done this, this would have happened. Or if I would have done it this way, this would not have happened. So in a yogic sort of concept, the whole whirlpool of that thought actually come from imagining or assuming what could have been done, or how could have been done in past, things could have been different. Or for the future, I dream for this, or I dream for that, and we start to imagine what will happen, or what can we do to achieve goal, achieve success in something. And then we have the next one is the smriti, the memory. So recalling all the experiences that we have already been through. So recollection of the old memories. Again, the old memories really in a yogic sense, to me, I do find many times they can be quite a big obstacle in our life too. As in the Yoga Vasistha, when the master talks us through the spiritual counseling, one of the things he mentions the concept of Adi Vyadi, the psychosomatic. So he said the problems actually begin in our mind, and then gradually they grow, or they take root, or they manifest, or their symptoms manifest in our physical body. So in a way, some of these old memories that we carry, they are constantly annoying or irritating or agitating our sense of equanimity, the inner peace, that relaxation, or that ease that we can all live within. And then the last one he uses, the source of the chitvartis is nidra, which means sleep. Which sort of, I kind of personally always think, the Patanjali, when he's talking about the sources of thoughts, that can also mean that it's the vacuum whenever we are not in the moment, when we're not present. Because that's what happens in sleep. In sleep, when you're sleeping, even though everything is there, your house, your family, your friends, but for your awareness, all that is not there. So he said for that moment, so in also many times, again, if you look, think of much more simpler things. Let's say you are watching a movie, and some point in the movie you just remember something else, and you were thinking, muddling into mind, thinking about that, and then you come back in like, depends, between 10 seconds to a minute or two, like, what happened? I don't know. Or you're reading your favorite book and you flip through a couple of pages and you're still reading, but somehow you did not actually recall, or you did not take anything in, and then we're like, oh, what did I read? What did I miss? So that can be also known or seen as a state of nidra, where we are not aware to what is happening in our surrounding. And in that situation, obviously, what we do, we create a ripple of thoughts to fulfill that gap. What would have happened? Maybe this person said this or that. So Patanjali said these are the 5 different categories, or the sources of thoughts. Now all these 5 types of thoughts, now they can be colored or non-colored, klista, aklista. Now the great thing really, he does not say that these are either good or bad, they are positive or negative, they are constructive or destructive. He uses a little bit different word. He said these chitvartis, these whirlpools, can be klista or aklista. So the klista means the colored or the manipulated one, the one that has been filtered through by our ego, or that I, that asmita. How do I want things? So the minute that I gets involved into things, into the situation, it manipulates the truth, the experience that we could have been through. And then the second category said aklista, the non-color or the pure blissful thought. Now I guess if we think of, like our emotions, if there is a reason to be sad and you're feeling sad, well, that is your aklista, that is your non-manipulated emotion, isn't it? Or if you're feeling sad about something because you're just worrying like, oh, what if this goes or this happens or that happens, that becomes your klista, your colored thought or your manipulated thought, because it does not have the reality. So our expectations, our past experiences, our memories, life that we have been through, our dreams or ambitions or ego, who we are, all that is actually constantly filtering or manipulating our each and experience that we are going through. Now Patanjali says, so if we got these, and these can be klista and aklista. Now obviously when they become aklista, the klista, when they become manipulated or colored, then they also become painful. Because when we're manipulating our expectations or ambitions and all that ego that gets involved in a negative way, then we have the fear or we have the worry, we have the anxiety, would I get it or not? Am I going to be successful or not? Now in both ways it brings fear or it brings ego, it brings pride that gradually leads us into further fear, further worry, anxiety. So to be free from that pain, then some of us say like, oh, so okay, so this is my real life, this is what we all go through every day. Because you can't really shut your sense organs off, you can't close your mind, you can't close your actions, you can't close your choices. They all have to be done, they all have to be lived, they all have to be fulfilled, unless we all close our doors and go and live in a cave, which I'm not sure how many of us actually willing to do that. So if we are not away from the society, if we're not away from this real, our physical life, where we have to earn for food, where we have to live with families, friends or society, we have to fulfill so many responsibilities and duties. So that means we have to master this complete sort of transition between the outgoing and ingoing of our senses and our mind. So what do? Now Patanjali says really two very, very simple, very beautiful things. He said, to be free from the chitvrittis, you need to understand and you need to follow or the concept of abhyasa. So the abhyasa literally translates as the practice. Abhyasa, the practice that I do or I follow from my true self, my heart, my inner self, my higher self. So he said, do your practice, do something about it. And then second practice, the second tool he gives us, vairagya. Vairagya literally translates as detachment or not having that constant sort of drive or desires for the material or the physical pleasures. So he said, be free from what we call in Bhagavad Gita the fruitless action. Be free from the greed. Be free from what I want. Be free from all that fruit that you get from your karma, from your actions. And abhyasa, do your practice. Now it's amazing that he puts abhyasa first and then the vairagya second. He kind of sometimes I do really wonder, like these great people like Patanjali or Vasishtha or like there is so many of them, like Lord Krishna or Rama, when they talk about these teachings, they must be so wise. They were like, if they give the vairagya first, people might say, okay, I have vairagya, I have no attachment, I have nothing to do. And there is a big follower of the monks or the sadhus in India, where they do follow that concept quite truly, quite deeply. And they're like, oh, my hands are hands of divine, so I have nothing to do because I don't want divine to do the work. Only time they change that concept when they have to eat, then they say that they are filling the divine belly, they are feeding the divine, the Krishna or the Shiva, so they must eat. Someone must give them food to feed the divine. But otherwise, most practices, they put the abhyasa, the practice first. And also amazing thing that he does not really go into much detail at this point into Yoga Sutras. He said, do the abhyasa, do your practice, do something about it. Now, it's like if you sit back and think, oh, when we're feeling a little bit stressed or going through the anxiety or something negative in our mind, the thing we naturally tend to do, we tend to shut our doors and go and lie down or just eat biscuits and chocolates and all the junk. Now the abhyasa in that situation can simply be looked into each and every one of us. Some of you it may work, just go out for a nice walk, or go and see friends, or maybe watch a comedy, or have a bath, or a shower, or do your hatha yoga practice, do some pranayama, read a book, or do. So he said, do something about it. Don't let yourself get caught and indulged into it, because that's why he used the word chitta vritti. So the vritti is the whirlpool. He said once you get caught into the whirlpool, you will gradually get sucked into it. So as and when, every time you realize or recognize that there is something that's rippling you into, he said stop and do something about it. And then the vairagya, gradually develop this concept of detachment, concept of letting go. And in the idea of letting go, I do find, as Swamiji says in Swami Gitananda Giri, he says the worst addiction we can have in our life is addiction to the problem, addiction to the pain itself. And this is, it's sort of becoming quite common in our society now. People, walk around with a big label: my blood pressure, my depression, my anxiety, my pain, my problem. And suddenly, if you do something that can actually make them free, they actually would not like it. They will hide, they will run away from it. This is why so many people actually can't even do the practice. Because once they start to feel a bit of liberation from the problem, from the pain, there is a huge fear of unknown. What do I do now? So he says, the addiction to the pain or problems is one of the worst addiction. So sometimes even the vairagya, I wonder, like vairagya, where Patanjali talking about vairagya, maybe he meant with really gradually inculcating or developing this detachment or letting go from our own inner self, this manipulated self. When we talk about our higher self, the antaratma, the true self, the chetana, that inner self is always full of bliss. That does not really have all this conditioning, but this mind, that material mind, that outward mind, our gross mind or the chitta, is full of all this conditioning, all these layers of manipulation, layers of experiences and expectations. And sometimes I wonder, Patanjali, when he said abhyasa vairagya, so do something about it, but also try to grow or develop detachment from maybe the inner self. All this negative thoughts, the guilt, the frustration, the anger, the ego, or all this constant judgment. How do we do that? So that's where again, we talk about the abhyasa and vairagya in that sort of situation. How do we actually develop that attitude? Because I have known quite a few people, people living completely free of what they call themselves. I'm guilt free. Why do I have to feel guilty of anything? And I actually have seen quite a few people who have taken this to quite extreme of what we call the negative being. Because in many ways, when we are in situation where we're trying to make a choice, trying to do something, what is right and what is wrong, what is good and bad, there is that idea in us that tells us, oh, if I do this, then I have to face the consequences. Or we feel bad about it, we feel unhappy, there is something unsettling, something uncomfortable, which in a very, very gross form, we use the word for that is the guilt. But if we in that negative situation, then that can actually help us to realize that there is something I don't agree or I don't approve, then I must not practice it. So that can also be seen, that start to develop your vairagya from your own inner self, your own inner mind, your emotions, the thought process, and also so many life stories or the events or experiences you might already have been through. So to do that, to master that, I guess we can begin with the first practice really to me is practicing Shama, forgiveness, forgiving, letting go. Now, Swamiji uses a couple of really beautiful sort of steps into it. So if there is something that has been going wrong or something that we have done, now I guess the first step is try to do something about it, resolve it. Now that can be, writing a card or sending a nice message or giving a compliment, giving somebody flower, giving something to bring balance. Now sometimes that can also actually be to yourself too, not only about other people, getting yourself a fruit. And this is quite an interesting thing when I listen so many of amazing women and they talk about this soaping therapy. Well, to me that is actually giving something to yourself. If you start to look at it from this idea, actually, because we all human beings, when we are in that situation, to lift ourselves out of something, we forgive. And that forgiveness actually enhances into compassion, into bliss, into kindness when we give something. So sometimes even giving yourself something, giving yourself a compliment, giving yourself a flower, or buying yourself a dress, or maybe get your favorite drink, or a slice of cake, the reward. So beginning with the forgiveness, that's sama, and then the second thing, appreciation or reward. Appreciating, as in one of the obstacles Patanjali talks about is the lack of achieving something. Alabdha bhumikatva. When we don't achieve, when we don't see that I have done something, and the reason behind not being able to see can be just our indulgence into the material, into the physical. With our ambitions can be too big that all the little things that we're doing are never being approved or never being appreciated. If the one thing goes wrong, as one of my really good friend a few years back, early mornings he makes a cup of tea, and instead of managing to drink the tea, the cup falls off the hand. He drops mess in the kitchen, and the cup, it was one of her favorite cup, it just smashed up into the ground or into the kitchen. Now it was all over the Facebook that how stupid it was of me to let go or drop my favorite mug, and then the mess on the floor and all that. And a couple of hours later I saw her, and I just in a really simple way I was sort of contemplating on it. I saw the post, contemplating on it, and I just asked her, like, all this time, how old you are, every morning you must be making a cup of tea for yourself. And I said, oh, how many times you managed to drink it so well? I've never seen anything of that on Facebook. I've never seen anything of that advertised or anything of that appreciated. So the forgiveness is the first concept. Then approval, appreciation is also actually expressing gratitude. Now the gratitude can also be to yourself, can't it? Like, oh, I made and had a cup of tea, I fed my family, or I cleaned the floor, I've done my job, or I managed to do my Hatha Yoga practice, I managed to do my pranayama, I managed to do my meditation. So appreciating that. So in a way you can see, the step-by-step approach, we are replacing the negative, the ripple of thoughts that are drawing down, we are putting them with, or replacing them with the positive thoughts or the jnana or the virtues that hopefully will start to lift up. It's like someone says, oh, thank you very much, that was a really nice cup of tea or a really nice lunch, or someone walks in your house and say, wow, who has done this beautiful job, such a beautiful clean house. The minute someone gives you that compliment, your shoulders lift up, your chest opens, your breathing becomes deeper, and your mind becomes clear. That lightness actually goes all the way up to in your body at a cellular level. So start to appreciate, and don't wait for just other people to actually give you the compliments. You start doing it. Because that's the biggest problem we have. Why do I have to do it? Why do I have to tell someone else they're looking beautiful? Or why do I have to tell someone, say thank you for the food, or thank you for cleaning, or thank you for something? Well, the only way we can get the happiness, we can get this gratitude, this blessing, when we start doing it. So never go empty hand, never be with people without that compliment, without that appreciation. You know, if we can't give flower or a card or a gift, then just some simple but appreciative, kind words. And now that can be towards yourself, to your friends, your family. So forgiveness, then approval, appreciation, and then you move into actually expressing the gratitude. Now, as we come in here, the next thing we need to do, we need to learn and understand to be fearless. Abhay. Live your life, but be free from any sort or any form of fear. Now, the fear can be the fear of good or fear of bad. Oh, in both ways, fear is the fear, isn't it? It doesn't matter if you are worried, like, oh, I'm so virtuous, I live my ahimsa, I live my truth, I live my all these virtues and values, and you constantly worried about what if something goes wrong, or what if I break one of the rule, or what if I can't do it, what if. So that fear is actually not healthy. That fear is causing the more damage or more problem than the fear of losing our job or losing our money. Even that is also unnecessary in many ways. And there is a really great story on this when I read from one of the Upanishad, where the master, the guru, he is simply talking to his disciple, his student, and he said, to really be liberated or free from all this material, all this worldly pain, and to develop, to grow into our true self, or have the self-realization, he said, the practice for that is abhay, be fearless, master the fearlessness, be free from any form of fear. Because if you be free from the fear, then you also freeing yourself from desires, freeing yourself from expectations, freeing yourself from attachment, indulgence, and all that clinging to anything. Because if you're not fearful, if you're not scared, you're not worried for what happens if. You're just living your life to the best you can. So, yeah, the guru, he teaches his disciple that always be fearless. Now, in one of the evening, the guy, he was sitting by his master, and the master was meditation, and he seen his master, if it's a snake or whatever comes in and out or around, nothing ever disturbed or disturbed his inner quietness or that inner balance. He was always in that deepest of the peace or equanimity. And one of the evening, they both were doing their meditation, and suddenly there was a big roar by a lion or a tiger, and the roar was so loud, it was so near them, that the young guy, the young disciple, he had a real panic, and he started to shake. His body was trembling or shaking with the fear. And he looks at the master. The master was still into the deep quietness or the deep peace. He was into a transcendental sort of meditative state. Nothing affected him. So the disciple he said to his master, his guru, he said, Guru, please forgive me. I'm so scared, I can't even move, and I'm feeling absolutely thirsty. Can you please get me some water? I need something to drink. So the master said, I'm teaching you, my son, you need to really learn to master this fearlessness, fear for nothing. And he goes into his hut to get him a glass of water. Now, while he was gone, the disciple, the chela, the student, who was a little bit naughty, like some of us, he scribbled down, he wrote one of the Vedic mantra on his stone that he used to sit down. He just wrote a mantra on the slab or on the stone or on the seat of the master, his guru. So the guru comes back and gives him the glass of water, and the minute he was just about to take his seat, his asana back, he saw that there was this beautiful mantra written on the slab, and he moved away. He said, I can't sit, I can't take that seat anymore. And he was like, oh, why? He said, oh, if I take my seat on this beautiful mantra, it's going to be a big offense. And the disciple looks at him and said, Master, I kind of got your idea, but look, my fear is real. You know, I was scared of the tiger because I don't want the tiger to eat me. I want to live. But your fear does not even have the root. It's just a mantra. Why are you worried about offensing that writing that is on your floor? So the fear of goodness and fear of bad, in many ways, they both actually have a very negative impact or influence on our health and well-being. So the master said, be fearless. Also, stop carrying the burden of your goodness. Stop carrying the burden of your virtues. Stop carrying the burden of whatever greatness you want to achieve or you want to master in life. Be fearless. Be free from that fear, from that conditioning. Now, once we have mastered that fearlessness, then I guess here we want to move further into developing what we call the attitude. Attitude of gratitude or appreciation. Attitude that helps us to grow, to lead ourselves. So yeah, anyway, coming back to what I was talking earlier about the next step is developing that attitude. Our look, our drashti. In yoga we have the word drashti. You know, how do we see, how do we experience, how do we process, and how do we actually have the perception of various things in our life. So working on our drashti, our outlook, our experience itself. Can we have that attitude that is all about either selflessness or about humanity, about health, about well-being, about happiness, about our evolution or about our growth or development? So growing or developing that higher attitude, that higher conscious or the conscience, that higher wisdom in our thoughts, in our actions, can really be great uplifting or recharging tool for our life. Sorry once again, I can see few of you returning back slowly, one by one. I am again, it's just a glitch. Anyway, we also still, as I'm talking about the attitude, we should be working on attitude of appreciating. Maybe we all needed a little bit of break for a minute or two, and we back again. So yeah, working on, you know, developing or growing that attitude that can help us to lift ourselves out. You know, our attitude is really what makes us to see or experience whatever we're going through. And in that attitude also understanding that our life and everything that we are living, we are going through, is again sort of mirror image of who we are from inside. Again, another of my favorite story from the Upanishad, quite a nice one. You know, at one of this guy, you know, riding the horse, and he comes to the gate of one of these villages, and at the gate, before he was entering in, there was this old man. He was sitting there, and he stopped the man on the horse and he said, "Oh, namaste, you know, tell me, who are you and what are you looking for? Why are you here for?" And he said, "Oh, my dear old man, you know, I just left the village that I used to live, which is, you know, couple of 100 miles away from here, and I'm looking somewhere new to live. And can you please tell me, you know, tell me about this village, what the people in this village are like. Are they really good, loving people, honest people, good people? Because that's what I'm looking for." So the old man looks at the man on the horse and he said, "Oh, before I give you the answer, can you tell me about yourself? or tell me what was your experience into the last village where you come from. So the man said, oh, please don't even remind me, don't even say the name of the last village. The minute you ask me, my skin feels red. I feel so angry. I'm like already shivering of the anger. The people in that village were really very terribly bad. They were very nasty people, very dishonest, and they were completely had no good attitude, no good practice, no good virtues. And this is why I left the village. So the old man looks at him and he said, oh, I'm really sorry to let you know, this village is worse than the last one. People here are even more terrible. They are twice terrible. So it is better that you go and find a peaceful, a happy living place somewhere else. Please don't go in. You would not like it. Well, the man trusted the old man and he turned back and he left. After a couple of hours, another family came, and this family, as they were just entering the gate into the village, they saw the old man too, and then they sat down and then they're greeting, and they asked the same question to the old man here again. And they said, oh dear, please can you tell us about this village, what the people in this village are like. So the old man had the same question to this family again, and so it depends. You tell me, what was your experience? Tell me about the people that you were living before you came here. And the minute he said, this man and woman, they just had the tears in their eyes, and please, we can talk about the village, the friends and the family or society all day, and their memories are so beautiful. They are the most loving and the kindest people we have ever seen or we have ever met. But we just felt like it's a time for us to have the different experience. We wanted to live life, we want to travel around, so we thought we will go and live somewhere else for a little bit. And the old man looks at the family and he said, please do come in, welcome into this village. You will find a house, and everyone in the village are really beautiful people, very kind and humanistic and very loving, caring and honest. Now the story, the guru, the master talks after the story, said, so it's not the people where we go, it's not the people where we live, it's our own inner self. So he really coming back to the chitvartis, this manipulated thought, the whirlpool, the thought process we create, that is creating our experience of each and everything. So if we are into that deep peace, that deep gratitude, we have the positive attitude, and we have some abilities of letting go, forgiveness, kindness, and also self-approval and approval of other people, appreciation, giving some healthy, positive compliments or saying nice things to other people, then in your life all that will come back. So these are really some very simple ideas or some simple practices that I guess we all can live or we all can practice together. And as I'm trying to keep it really precise to a subject, so I'll stop here for tonight. And what we'll do now, we will chant our 9 beautiful Oms together. And tonight we will create a little bit more powerful sort of chanting. So we begin with the Om like Om. After maybe 6 rounds, then we're going to do the next 3 or 4 with like Om 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 Om. And then towards the end we're going to really speed it up like Om 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 Om. And then the last one we will do really extended one like Om 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 Om. And then we're going to sit quiet. So let's see if you all can follow it together. I will guide us through a little bit of Savitri rhythm pranayama, our Savitri rhythm, just to create that energy balance. So if you like, breathe out slowly. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold 2, 3. Out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. hold, 2, 3, in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold, and let's begin with the Om. Breathe in. Three ohms. In. Six to nine. And then speed up. And then sit quiet. Just enjoy that quiet, that peaceful space for a few moments. Now deep from your heart, I'd like you to really feel that sense of gratitude and appreciation for your own self. Your body, your mind, your life, your every breath, your every heartbeat. Then in this me, this I like you to see your loved ones, your family and your friends, and feel that sense of gratitude and appreciation. And from this collective I, see our universal I. We can see each other, we are connected, we are creating this cosmic consciousness, vibration, higher thoughts together. We can even see ourselves connected with each and everyone, the whole earth. Also the trees, the plants, the birds, the flowers, the breath, the rain, the sun, the mountains, the rivers, the oceans, people, and then our whole universe. Express our gratitude for being and having this opportunity to live, having this opportunity to even be able to think, what can we do to evolve, what can we do to grow, what can we do to be happy and healthy. And that is the attitude we want to develop, we want to grow within us. Free from that ego, free from that I, the expectation. Om, Om, Om. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Let the divine, the higher to be the truth, the reality. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May we all grow, evolve, be healthy, happy, and prosper together. Om. Thank you very much everyone for joining in, and